Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 208 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. You know, we've all seen the reports over the past, maybe 20 years that rates of depression and anxiety, fear, and, all kinds of mental health issues are on the rise. And I can't help but wonder and think there is a correlation to the fact that a lot of people are abandoning any type of religion, but especially the Christian faith. And so when you live a life where you think there is no eternity, and this is all that there is, it's going to do something to you. And so that is what we're going to be talking about today in Notebook 2, numbers 985 through 989. February 25th, 1937. I prayed earnestly for a happy death on behalf of a certain soul who was suffering much. For 2 weeks she has remained between life and death. I was touched with pity for her and said to the Lord, "Sweet Jesus, if the works I am undertaking for your glory are pleasing to you, then please take her to yourself and let her rest in your mercy." I was strangely reassured, and after a short while they came to tell me that the person who had been suffering so much had just died. I saw a certain priest, probably Father Sapotsko, in need and prayed for him until Jesus looked upon him with kindness and granted him his strength. Today, I came to know that a member of my family is offending God and is in great peril of death. This knowledge pierced my soul with such great pain that I thought I would not survive that offense against God. I begged God's pardon, but I saw his great anger. I was praying for a certain priest, probably Father Sapotsko, asking God to help him in certain matters when I suddenly saw Jesus crucified. His eyes were closed and he was immersed in torture. I worshipped his 5 wounds, each one separately, and asked his blessing for him. Jesus gave me to know interiorly how dear that soul was to him, and I felt that grace was flowing from Jesus' wounds upon that soul who, like Jesus, is also stretched upon the cross. My Lord and my God, you know that it is you alone whom my soul has come to love. My soul is entirely drowned in you, O Lord. Even if I did not accomplish any of the things that you have made known to me, O Lord, I would be completely at peace because I would have done what I could. I know well, O Lord, that you have no need of our works. You demand love. Love, love, and once again, love of God. There is nothing greater in heaven or on earth. The greatest greatness is to love God. True greatness is in loving God. Real wisdom is to love God. All that is great and beautiful is in God. There is no beauty or greatness outside of him. O you sages of the world and you great minds, recognize that true greatness is in loving God. Oh, how astonished I am that some people deceive themselves, saying, there is no eternity. So it's this last line that I want to focus on, where she says, oh, how astonished I am that some people deceive themselves, saying there is no eternity. And I've heard a lot of people say this as of late, even within probably the last, 5 years, I've heard it even more and more. And as a person who studies behavior, mostly criminal behavior, but as a person who just studies behavior, it's no wonder to me that the rates of depression, anxiety, mental health issues have gone on the rise as we've declined in our faith in God. Because you have to realize that if you think that we are just a collection of cells that came together with no real, creator in mind other than your parents, no soul, you're just a collection of chemicals, and you get a chance in this world, and after you die, that's it. lights out, nothing else. There would be a real desperation to want to live your life exactly how you want. Just to get it all in, just to do it all. I don't care what it is. Maximize the pleasure, maximize the comfort. Don't hold back. Indulge in whatever makes you happy, because once the lights go out, it's over. But deep down, our souls know that that's not right. And so we see people scrambling around, trying to find meaning in their life through pleasure, entertainment, success, having, all of the accolades and honors bestowed on them to make them feel important. And we see people living a very materialistic, consumeristic lifestyle. Just gather all the things, that'll make you happy. And yet people are not happy. We are not a happy world, I would say. You look around and people just don't seem healthy. They actually seem very sad, down, just not joyful at all. Not everybody, but collectively, it just seems that way to me. And, like I said, if you thought that this was all there was, you would want to make it stretch for as long as possible. So, you're born and then we got to live until we're like 100 years old, or I got to live until I, start on the really big downward hill decline of old age. And then I just don't want to live anymore because I don't want to suffer at all. And we see that attitude as well. And so, we have to preserve our lives, which I think is a huge reason why we've seen so much fear surrounding COVID. Because, for one, the media made it uber scary. I think a lot of people just were super scared of dying, even though the statistics didn't show that people below 40 were in great risk. But I don't want to get into a COVID conversation. I realize that there was great risk for certain parts of the population, and I don't deny that. But I saw just a lot of young people super scared, freaking out, super angry, and I think a lot of that has to do with a lack of faith, honestly, because they were confronted with their mortality. And if you don't believe in eternity and God and heaven, and this is it, it's going to terrify you to death. And so, of course, your anxiety is going to go up. Of course, you're going to be super depressed. But at the same time, you're going to want to preserve your life at all cost because you're just not ready for the lights to go out. And so Sister Faustina here, she's saying how astonished I am that some people deceive themselves saying there is no eternity. Now, we don't have any tangible proof of heaven. We can't go to heaven, take some pictures, come back, show it on a PowerPoint slide. We can't do anything like that. We have had people who have had near-death experiences who report things, but you have to take that with some skepticism, of course, because we can't prove it in any way. But, I don't discount some people's near-death experiences. But on the whole, we don't have anything, concrete that we can offer to people outside of the Bible and things like that to say, yes, there is an eternity. Look here, I can show you. So, there are people who just absolutely deny it because they live only in the material world and they can't conceive of the supernatural world at all. Even though our minds think of it and we ponder about it and we've wondered about it, and up and down through all the ages, people have had this notion that there's something else besides the material world. A lot of people chalk that up to people being ignorant and uneducated, but it still goes on today. People still do believe in the supernatural. It's really sad to me to see all these people just so desperate to cling to life. And it's not as if I'm looking for a death wish or anything like that, but I'm not desperate because I have the hope of Christ. And I know that God will take me when He's ready. and then, God willing, I get to go be with him, and it's not the end. And some people will say, oh, that's just Christians trying to make themselves feel better because they're in denial about what really happens once you die. But, okay, I guess you can say that, but too many people have believed in the afterlife, and we have the words of Christ, and because he's God, we can trust what he says. And if he says there is heaven and hell, then I'm going to go with what he has to say. So, just remember, Catholic pilgrims, that there are a lot of people out there who don't have the hope of eternity, at least the hope of eternity in Christ. And so we see a lot of angry, bitter, fearful, depressed, anxious people. And I'm not saying that everybody, who's anxious or depressed or has mental health issues is an atheist or a non-believer. I recognize that a lot of people have those conditions for different reasons, but those numbers have been on the rise. And we've also seen a vast amount of people leaving faith behind, especially their Christian faith. So live with a joyful heart, Catholic pilgrims. Show people what they're missing, in having a relationship with Christ, and help them to see that, there is eternity with God, and it will be beautiful and wonderful, and we have the hope in that, which makes everything not seem so bleak. In fact, it makes, this life worth living fully and completely. So I will see you back here, Catholic pilgrims, for day 209. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.